Here to Jamie, and he says, "Why do the Padres play good with good teams and awful with bad teams? It's so frustrating for fans."
Oh, drives it crazy. I wish I had an answer. Hell, Mike Schilt wishes he had an answer too. I mean, they got guys that are just not having good seasons. Again, Manny making all that money. He's got what, one home run? Fernando Tatis had lousy start. Now he's starting to hit again. Cronenworth has bounced back, but Hassan Kim has been lost all season offensively. It's just not a complete team, and now you got the baggage of all the injuries right now. Now, yeah, there's a lot of baseball to be played, but John, they've pissed away an opportunity to close on the Dodgers.
Yeah.
And the Dodgers aren't playing great ball. Dodgers have lost 8 of their last 13, and they're far from being a complete baseball team because I got injuries and a bunch of guys at the bottom half of the order aren't hitting worth a lick. But the Padres have, quote, pissed it away.
Yeah, it's insane how horrible it's been. I mean, think about it. For a while, the big three were dragging us down, and Cronenworth and Profar and our rise were carrying it. And now it's the other way around. Now Machado and Tatis are hitting, and everyone else has gone in the doghouse. Now they're off today, and then they travel to
Now they got Arizona tonight. They're home.
Oh, they're home. Okay, but
yeah, stupid me. I thought this quadrant of the schedule. Don't you call me stupid? Stupid me.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they're going to put together a 10-game winning streak.
Yeah.
Playing the Angels, the D-backs, and then the Athletics.
Yeah, all the A teams.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
And that's not going to happen.
No, not at all. I mean, it just blows your mind. You watch this team. It's so frustrating. Okay, let's move on. We got a Caitlin Clark comment. This is from Brett. It says, Caitlin Clark is getting rookie treatment. I'm tired of people saying players are jealous of her. I'm also tired of the negative racist undertones said about Angel Reese.
I don't know how to answer that because I think she's being victimized because she is a marquee personality and she has brought something really different. I think all the players that are banging on her ought to realize her impact on this league has been tremendously positive. There are benefits now that the Angel Reeses of the world and the other ones with the LA Sparks, etc., have not been getting. And now they're getting it by virtue of this next star arriving on the scene. So, but the trash talk, I guess trash talk can be part of it, but is it hard to show class? Show class and appreciate what she's brought in terms of visibility to the entire sport. Is she the best player in the league? I don't think so.
No.
I think, but she's growing and she's good and she's worth watching. But I mean, she got hatcheted 4 games in a row. I'm talking about violent hits that could have injured her neck or broken her forearm, and as Angel Reese jumping for joy after Caitlin Clark gets plastered on the floor. Who's that?
Yeah, what is that? The whole Angel Reese Caitlin Clark relationship is inconsistent because we saw them in the LSU Iowa ring, show me the ring, and they were smack talking, and then later on they said, oh, we're all friends and we all know each other and we get along, and she's not my enemy, but we're just competitive on the court. And now Angel Reese is a cheerleader giving high fives to her players when they stick Caitlin Clark. So is it a love-hate thing or what is it, Lee?
Show a little class.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, next question.
Okay, let's go here to Winnipeg Sports Talk. Hey, what's up, Hacksaw Bombers in the CFL opener tonight?
There is football. It'll be on your TV. You'll have to surf and find it, but the Canadian Football League starts tonight. Winnipeg Blue Bombers, I think, have the best starting backup quarterback combo in the league. Zach Caleros is one of the guys that came from the States, John. He went to the Hamilton Ticats, I think, where he started his career from the University of Cincinnati. Put up some nice numbers with the Bearcats. Went up there, developed, had some success. Went to Winnipeg as a free agent. He's won, I think, back-to-back Grey Cups. And he's the leading passer in the CFL. And they got a backup who was here in the NFL, Chris Strevler, with the Arizona Cardinals. He's the backup, but he had been productive in Winnipeg prior to jumping to the NFL. Now he's gone back after a couple of years with the Arizona Cardinals. Winnipeg's a really good team. It's weird, though. You have 9 teams in the league. I think only 5 of them have established quarterbacks, and the other 4 are kind of wandering out there, hoping at whomever we got. There's a salary cap issue in Canada. I think they should do something to set aside the quarterback salary and allow the CFL to come into the States and obviously get some guys to go up there with bigger contracts and just let them play. And I've known guys that have gone up there, stayed up there, and had really nice careers and became stars and, loved where they lived in Canada. It's different than the NFL, but would you rather be a star and make $500,000 in the Canadian League or be on waivers every 4th week down here, going from one developmental squad to another for minimum wage and really never getting a chance to play? So I think the CFL should probably change the salary structure and make the quarterback an off the roster acquisition, so you can go get more talent up there. It's a different breed of football. There's no doubt about it. But Winnipeg is really, really good.
What network are they going to show this in America? Is it like
They
on
have
ESPN or?
They have been showing them on, I think it was ESPN2,
Mhm.
but you'll just have to dial around one of the 6,000 channels that you subscribe to.
Go way deep on the list, right?
Yes, exactly. Next question.
Next question, and yeah, another Caitlin Clark comment. This is from Patrolman Pete. Indiana Fever need a Dave Semenko character for Clark's Gretzky.
I was surprised they're not as good as I thought they would be. And she's come in and she had to do a lot of it by herself. I think their record might be 1-7, maybe 2-7 right now.
I saw 2-8.
Yeah, they're just not a complete basketball team. And she's had some really good games. And she had one game she scored 3 points. You know, I mean, they're trying to defend her out of the arena, and now they're trying to bang her around and all that. But you know, she's going through a learning curve, and they need more players around here compared to what I watched the Connecticut Sun, and they are really good. You know, the LA Sparks aren't real good, which is kind of surprising because they've had some good years and they've been in the league a long period of time. So Bears watching to see how much better Caitlin's going to get and whether the treatment of Caitlin Clark changes.
Yeah, well, I think, Patrol guy, he's got the hockey reference. I'm thinking of McSorley, protecting Gretzky. You would think that her teammates would back her up on this, so they're just invisible.
Well, when she's gotten decked, they've run over and picked her up. But when she's gotten decked, nobody's walked over to pick up a technical foul.
Right. They got to fight back.
Exactly. If that Chicago Sky center who tomahawked her, I'd walk over and I'd body bang her. If I took a technical, I took a technical. But you need to send a message. You're not going to do this to our star.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's where we are. Next question.
I've got a hockey question here, and we'll go here to Callan. It says, hey, Lee, what would you name the Utah NHL team? I like the Blizzard, but I'm sure the Avalanche would call foul.
Well, I was told today they cut the list down to the final 6. The fans vote, and they came up with 6, and I don't understand some of the one. But my favorite one is Utah Blizzard because you can put an identifiable logo with it, but they came up with something really absurd, and I can't even recall I didn't even know what it meant, and they didn't have something like Utah Wolves or Utah Sky or Utah some mountain climbers, so they got it down to 6. I will say this though, they have taken in 1 month's time since the Arizona Coyotes moved, 34,000 season ticket orders.
Really?
For a full season or half season, whatever. I mean, it's just phenomenal, the response in the region, just not Salt Lake City, just in that Rocky Mountain region, that people who want access to buy either the full plan or the half plan. The arena, I'm told, is going to seat 12,000 for hockey, unrestricted views, and they'll try to jam standing room only in there too. So that's quite a response. Hell of a lot more than they used to get for the Arizona Coyotes, who are drawing 5,000.
Well, you're talking about absurd names in Salt Lake City, and I think the Utah Jazz have to be one of the most absurd names.
Well, but that came from New Orleans.
Well, yeah, it made sense in New Orleans. When they moved to Salt Lake, they should have rebranded. They could have been the Utah Mormon Tabernacle Choir. That would have been better than the Utah Jazz.
Okay, these are the 6 finalists: Utah Blizzard, Utah Outlaws, Utah Mammoth, Utah Venom, and Utah Yeti, Y-E-T-I.
Yeah, that's Sasquatch. That's the that's the abominable snowman.
No, then the Yeti and the Seattle Kraken. That's stupid. Blizzard, Utah Blizzard. You can do a lot graphically with Utah Blizzard. Hey, Canada, thanks for joining us. Next question.
Okay, and a bunch of Caitlin Clark comments, but let's see if we can get here. This is from Derek. He goes, I love that women's sports are in the news. Don't like when it's like that, though.
Well, I just think it's a bad look because I think the Angel Reeses of the world really look like they're jealous and they're stupid and they're not paying attention to all the great things that Caitlin Clark has brought to the league collectively. Her TV ratings are through the roof. Never had these kind of ratings before. Their games are all sold out. I mean, it's just absolutely amazing. They want to see the star from college. Now, she can be a star in WNBA. Only time will tell.
Yeah, I like the attention it's getting. I remember women's tennis used to be a big thing when I was younger, and not so much anymore. But yeah, let's get more women's sports going,
Well, the LPGA, but the growth of those sports on the women's side, notably the LPGA and WTA, has exploded because of the greatness of players that have come from Europe.
Right.
And the greatness of players come from the Pacific Rim. I mean, they're just phenomenal athletes and phenomenal stars, and they've overwhelmed I don't know where the next USA female golfing star is going to be, because it was not Michelle Wie, and we thought she was going to be the one.
Mhm.
And she had injuries and she'd never followed up on it, and her life changed as they went. But I mean, WTA, who's playing in the finals? Not Coco Gauff. She got blown out today in the semifinals by Iga Swiatek. So the arrival of the great Euros, and especially in golf, from the Pacific Rim and all those countries. I mean, you look at the leaderboards and the top money winning list. They are from Taiwan. They're from Japan. It's South Korea. I mean, it's phenomenal, and it's great for the sport to have all these people. But where's our next American star?
It's amazing that we can sit here and talk about anything, and you can pull up a fact. Coco Gauff got eliminated today. I had no idea.
Blown out in straight sets.
Unbelievable.
She's 1-11 against Iga. And Iga, I don't know if Iga's going to be Martina Navratilova. She's very young in her career. She's just a year and a half plus into being a star. She's really, really good. But I don't know if she's Martina. I don't know if she's Chrissy Everett-Lloyd. So the only time will tell.
Hacksaw was the internet before the internet, and
Damn
you still
right.
are the internet.
I know what I know.
Okay, let's go here to Kyle. He says, Hacksaw sounds like the news guy on the American country radio station I pick up from North Dakota when I'm in Buffalo Point, LOL.
Game time temperature in Fargo, 21 degrees, below zero wind chill. I've never been to Fargo. I always wanted to go to Fargo, North Dakota. Next question.
Oh, I just want to say this, is that it's a thrill to hang out with you, because it's funny when when the camera's not on, we're just regular guys. But man, when that camera's on and that mic is lit, you turn into Hacksaw, and you have a great voice for radio, for sports, and the vocabulary is just fantastic.
You are right. I am bleeping brilliant. Thank you.
Okay. Let's go on here. Oh, yeah, Derek had a kind of a comment. He goes, Hacksaw's eyes healed up really well. That eye center does good work.
Hey, do me a favor. These people are friends of mine, and they've joined us, kind of taking a flyer on this. You need an eye test. We're all going to need help. Just call North County Eye Center and thank them for being part of Hacksaw's podcast, and schedule an eye test, because it's absolutely free. And just make sure you tell them you're part of Hacksaw's team on the podcast. But I look good. Now, the Raider fan, he was in the hospital for a while. For the fans that don't know the backdrop, I had eye surgery in the middle of all this, and I came in one day, and I had a black eye here.
Oh, it was huge.
Because of the injections.
Yeah.
And it wasn't painful or anything. It just looked really bad. And everybody said, what the hell happened to you? You walk into one Lucified? I said, no, you got to see the Raider fan. He's still in ICU. And I went on TV. I did my KUSI stuff with a black eye. They laughed. They thought it was really, really funny.
Yeah, the people were joking on social media, like you finally pissed off someone too much. Okay, let's go here to Chris. This is a good one. Saw, just sitting here reflecting on how cool it is to watch you on this podcast. 30 years after racing out of high school to listen to the best 15 minutes of sports at 4 o'clock, life has come full circle. And Dave Roberts has officially become the Marv Levy of MLB, swept by the bleeping Reds and now probably the Pirates. How about some accountability, damn it?
Well, they gave him a big contract extension. And I just have great respect for Dave Roberts, the player, the person, and Dodger leader. And they did give him a contract extension despite the postseason failures. But as John and I have argued off and on, some of the decisions that are made, notably in the playoffs, might be mandated from the front office, the analytics guys, that we're going to do this, this, and this. And if you go to the bullpen, this is the guy we want you to go to, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't hold him fully responsible in Dodger postseason failures, but this sure does not look like a $290 million team. I mean, injuries are indeed part of the game, and a lot of people forget, Max Muncy's on the deal. They have 12 guys still on the disabled list, most of them pitchers, and that's out of the control of Andrew Friedman, the president, and the general manager, and obviously Dave Roberts, the field manager. But they're not a $290 million baseball team right now. Not when you compare them. What's going on in Philadelphia, who've had no injuries. What's going on at Yankee Stadium. I mean, those teams are like 43-19 now. And the Dodgers are just kind of spinning their wheels. There's a lot of baseball still to be played.
Well, did you see the bit about Dave Roberts was kind of giving some love and a hug to one of the pitchers that
got lit up?
Yeah. And that was a cool moment. I mean, I think that's good. But it's funny, Marv Levy, I mean, that's a great comparison. I'm thinking of also Bud Grant.
Exactly.
That's the other one, that has lost the time. But I do love seeing these people have how for decades, you've been a part of their life and you've touched them in really special ways. And we were just joking about it before we started. It's like whenever you go around town, you were telling me you're at the workout place and you're trying to lift weights and people want to have a talk show with you.
Yeah, it's cool. I'd go shopping at Vaughn's and they stop me in front of the meat counter to say, the Padres. It's absolutely hilarious, but it's great. It's, I've done this my entire life. I mean, I think back how fortunate I am. I've been doing this since I was age 18.
Incredible.
Talking sports and, radio, television, journalism, freelance writing, and now this. And you know how unique and different it is for an old dog like me, who's still got a Royal manual typewriter in his garage to be doing this. I never thought this was possible. I got hired by SiriusXM I did weekends for 3 years on the home plate baseball channel. And I didn't know how any of that stuff works. Satellite,
Mhm.
And I said, oh no, I said, am I going to move to New York and work for SiriusXM? And my family's house was in New York and we were making plans for me to go live in my family's house and commute every day in the New York City when Chris Russo, Mad Dog, was starting the Mad Dog channel. It didn't work out because of the economy, but I didn't understand how any of this stuff worked. They said, no, you can do the weekends, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights on the home plate channel and do it from home on your computer. I said, how's that possible? So I learned some technology along the way, but I still have my Royal manual typewriter in the garage. Stop laughing at me.
I think you're one of the rare people that has been successful doing what you love in your career.
Sure.
You know,
Despite all the bad things that have happened in my career, teams folding, teams moving, teams leaving my radio station, just getting screwed, but you got to be resilient.
Okay, let's keep moving on and let's go here to T. Will talk about the Stanley Cup because I'm still stunned that the Oilers are in the finals.
Well, they earned it. They earned it because their special teams played really well, and Stuart Skinner got red hot again. And those three bigs on that one line are just phenomenal. And here's the unique part of this. This series is going to start Saturday with the Florida Panthers. They're big and they're physical, and they take penalties. And John, I swear to you, if you take penalties, I'm going to score power play goals on you. I mean, Edmonton's got 19 power play goals in 19 games. It's a phenomenal statistic, and they've killed off 28 straight man advantages without giving up a goal. That's kind of a unique team, and they've been building towards this, and they finally got there.
Well, go back to the regular season. Did the Panthers and the Oilers win their division? Were they the number one seeds coming out?
No, Vancouver won the Pacific Division,
Mhm.
but Vancouver had never been there before, and Vancouver just made mistakes in games 6 and 7 in terms of changing what they were doing and let Edmonton get back into the thing. Florida's just kind of manhandled everybody. I mean, when you consider Boston Bruins, New York Rangers, and those are two really good teams, they're like you and me. They're going to watch the games on TV too.
Mhm.
Wow. Florida did that to them.
Wow. Okay, let's move on. We got a lot more here. Let's go to let's write down here on the list. And here, let's go to Angel. Because for years, WNBA has been NBA little sister, and now they have a female version of Bird versus Magic with Clark and Reese.
As long as it doesn't get out of hand and become more than just basketball. I mean, I understand personalities and all that, and I subscribe that that's good for the game, that you have that type of pizzazz. But cheap shot fouls on a consistent basis, I don't know. We want the reincarnation of the Detroit Piston bad boys.
Well, I like that there's two high-profile players that are rookies that have had the history as rivals in college. I just hate that it's race-based. It doesn't need to be race-based. But if you got young, talented athletes, you got personality, you've got excitement from the fans, you got TV ratings, that's fantastic. And hopefully the WNBA can rise up.
We'll see if, is this a one-time thing because of the arrival of Caitlin Clark and all these other collegians that have come from LSU and USC and South Carolina? Or is it they now set a level here that they're going to continue to grow the base going forward? It'll be fun to see.
I agree. Let's keep moving on, and let's go here to David talking about the English Premier League, and he says VAR just passed 19-1 to keep it.
Well, there was huge uproar that we need to keep it and improve the technology. And there was some minority uproar. I think there's a lot of pressure that was put out there. Minority uproar put the human element back in the game. But when you have that many, it's a tough game to referee, especially offside calls and things like that. You got technology, use the technology. Now, that being said, NFL replay, it's not perfect. Major League Baseball, ooh, far from perfect. But you just got to work at it. So I knew that vote was today and was being taken. Of course, there's 8 hours time difference between here and Crystal Palace in England. So that's good that they kept it. Now they just got to refine it more.
Yeah, exactly. Just get it right. Now, just as a side, I see VAR. You know what I think of is, wins above replacement WAR. There's a local social media guy here that does the Padres, the Divine Sports Gospel. He always talks about VAR, vibes above replacement, and, as a way to kind of stroke, jerks and Profar.
On we go.
On we go. Okay, let's go here to Cal. He says, Chelsea and West Ham can probably roll with the big boys too.
Well, they haven't recently. Now, West Ham's been a good side in groups of years. Chelsea's kind of gone through rebuild. The Chelsea Blues had a 3 or 4 or 5 year run in which they were really, really good, but that goes back into the mid 2000s. So we'll see. The problem is there is radical disparity between the upper elite in the English Premier League and the bulk that are down here. And there's just absolutely no way that these smaller communities, cities that own EPL franchises will have the revenue streams that will allow them to go into the open market and get star players. And if they develop their own players through their feeder system, that's great. But those guys then become part of the transfer program. And the Liverpools and the Man Cities and the Man United, they'll go in and Arsenal, they'll go in and cherry pick, and they will buy the marquee player from Crystal Palace or some of these others. And the other shocker, the volume of money, when you get promoted into the English Premier League, it's like $180 million instant revenue for you to come up. But you're coming up with a lower division class of players, and you're going to have to go find players that want to come play there, and it doesn't work out. And this past year, we've had two or three teams that got relegated that had spent 1 year in and were so bad. Sheffield and a few others, they're gone. And they go back to the lower championship league, which is the second division of the EPL, but they lose all that revenue. So Leicester City had been a long time EPL, but it was a bottom feeder. And they finally got knocked out. Well, they rebuilt their franchise. They jumped right back in because they were the top qualifier from the championship league. They just got elevated. 3 go up every year. The bottom 3 from the EPL fall out. You go up, you get a big payday, but can you get good players to come there? And can you hold on to your players? The bad ones, 1 year, one and done, you're gone. And it's a long road back, and some of them never, ever come back.
I like the idea of relegation, and I think that could work in college sports in America. But what's interesting to me about the EPL, some of these team names are named after cities like Manchester, like Liverpool, but some are not, like Arsenal, right? I don't think that's a city. I mean, and then Crystal Palace. I mean, what the hell is that? Is that
it's a community outside of London?
Oh, that's actually a city name?
Yes.
I always thought it was a reference to like Prince Albert and Queen Victoria with the World's Fair when they had that big glass thing in the park.
Yeah, you go around. If you punch up the names, they actually don't live by their nicknames. They live by their formal corporate name. You punch up the names, and one of the teams is known as the Cherries.
Really?
Yeah, in the EPL. I don't have it now, but I went through a list. I said, what does that fit? The Canaries. How does that fit? But anyhow.
Well, talking about relegation, who is the American actor? Is it Ryan Reynolds that owns the team?
Yeah, Wrexham in Wales.
Yeah. So what tier are they? Are they like AAA?
They started very small and way down, and I think they have now in back-to-back years have jumped twice, and I think they're in the second grouping. It'd be like AA soccer. It's not the Championship League, and it's not the Premier League, but it's the one right below it, Wrexham.
Cool. And so does relegation happen all the way through? Okay, so people can ratchet up and ratchet down.
Yes.
That's a good system.
Yeah, it's unique. So the Oakland Athletics could be in the Pacific Coast League if we had relegation.
Okay, let's move on. We got some more comments here. And Callan says, yeah, Leicester City or the Foxes. Okay, let's go to social media because there's some good comments here in social media. And let's go here to Andretti, talk a little car racing. This is from who? Murphy. He says, I can't blame the FIA for not letting him come into Formula One. He treated his time in Formula One before very poorly. He burned a lot of bridges. His dad's awesome. I'm not a huge fan of him. Retreated Formula One very poorly when he tried to drive in I don't know, 30 years ago. But yeah, he burned a lot of bridges for people, so I can't blame him for not letting them in. I wouldn't either.
The fact is, he's got a proven commodity record here with Andretti Autosports. Fact is, he's a global brand. Fact is, F1 is trying to grow their schedule here, and they want to have 5 races here stateside in the next 2 years, and it's a big money venture. Why would you not want to have an American brand running it? I mean, the only current American brand is Haas US, and they've struggled for 5 to 6 years, and they could be up for sale right now. Why would you not want Andretti's $250 million entrance fee? Granted, you say, well, then we're going to add an 11th team to carve up the pie rather than 10. But if you have Andretti as a focal point, it drives up global TV numbers. It drives up the TV contracts here in the States because it is Mario and Michael Andretti's team. As a young driver, he went over there to kind of cut his teeth, learn the sport, and then jumped. A lot of guys have tried it. Very few have done it. It's a very tough sport to operate in. And F1 says, oh, no, this is not an ugly American, anti-American thing. Well, it sure kind of seems that way. We're not talking about, they let Haas in, and Haas had no track record, and they paid their way in, and right now they're a bottom feeder. Andretti's got a track record and great heredentials. Why wouldn't you let him in if you're trying to grow the sport and the series here in the U.S., which is where all the volume of dollars are? He's not giving up. I mean, he's spending a lot of money to open up the factories, to build the chassis at Silverstone in London, England, outside in England. And obviously, he just hired the number 2 executive from F1, Peter Simons, to be his director of racing. And Simons' resume is he developed 4 different championship teams in Europe. So Michael has not given up despite the way F1 has treated him.
You say that Andretti has offered up a $250 million
entrance fee.
But I can't believe I'm about to say this, but doesn't that sound low? Because NBA, NFL franchises are selling for 2, 4, 6, 10 billion, right? I mean, $250 million is all it takes to get into F1,
a charter. But you have all the expense of your team. I mean, the volumes of what you have to spend to develop chassis, what you have to spend with Cadillac to develop engines, what you have to spend in testing, and then you have to hire superstar drivers and crews. I mean, it's got to be well over $1 billion investment.
Oh yeah,
to get in the front door.
Yeah, I'm sure you got to do all that too, but so do NBA teams and NFL teams when they have expansion franchises. I've seen a lot of the social media comments, and there definitely is a little tinge of sort of European snobbery. Well, we don't need any more Americans. We don't need to Americanize this sport. We already have 3 races in America. That's 3 too many. You hear there's some of that smack talk online.
It's probably true, but they've also got about 6 teams that are not really competitive, that are just hanging on for dear life and don't ever win. I mean, Team Red Bull and Mercedes, have dominated over the last 8 years, 10 years, but that thing's changing too. You've got proven success in name and brand, and Michael Andretti. Why not let him be part of this?
Yeah, I agree.
Next question.
All right, let's go here.
Statement.
We'll talk about the Lakers, because the big news here, but JC Thomas was wondering about the Lakers. He says, let LeBron leave, take Bronny with him. I'd rather have Sam Cassell over JJ Redick anytime.
Well, I would have too, until what happened obviously yesterday. And I maintain that Coach K, Mike Krzyzewski, might be the trigger point for this. The story that we just led with is that there's a meeting this weekend, and they're going to offer Dan Hurley $10 million a year to come, which shocks me that he would turn around and leave after getting an extension to UConn. But money talks, people walks, and it's the Lakers, it's the banners, it's the history of a great franchise that's fallen into mediocrity. So, and for the fact that LeBron James just sounded off, damn good coach. LeBron's kind of signing off that this works for him too. So we'll see what's going to happen. He's different. There's no doubt he's cut from a different cloth.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you just hear all the stories about his father and how he's just so beloved in Jersey, right? As where they're from. It's funny though, hearing fans like bad mouthing LeBron, and we need to get rid of LeBron. And you've always defended him because he's always put up the numbers. I've often questioned if the chemistry in the clubhouse is right, but this whole Bronny element is a whole different level. Do you think Bronny gets drafted? And if he is, do you think he gets much playing time in the NBA? I can't imagine it.
I think he gets drafted maybe at the back end of the second round. Maybe he gets drafted 55 by the Lakers, who have a late second round pick. I think there's been 5 or 6 clubs that have brought him in for the individual workouts. And from what I've been able to gather, The workouts have been pretty impressive, but he's also just a young pup. I mean, he averaged 4 points a game at USC and couldn't keep the starting job. He should have stayed in school another year. And Abe, is he healthy? Or stay healthy? Can he have no cardiac setback again? And they seem to think he's passed every physical, etc. So should have stayed in school. But based on potential growth, I think he's probably the back end of the second round now. But who knows what kind of player he's going to be? The league has got so many great athletes. It's such a tough place to play. All you need to do is go through the last 5 years of first round picks. You say, what the hell happened to that guy? And how come he didn't pan out?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
So when is the draft? It's in June, isn't it?
End of June, 27th and 28th. It's going to be a 2-day TV affair now. You're going to have the first round on the 27th, the second round on the 28th.
Interesting. All right, something to look forward to.
Yep.
Okay, we're still going here. Okay, let's talk a little MLB history. This is a big news topic in social media about integrating these Negro League statistics. And this is from E.B. May. Says, I say let it be. It's history, right, wrong, or whatever. Negro Leagues need to be recognized. If this is the way for them, so be it. MLB has bigger problems with terrible umps and time clocks and rules to speed up the game. Who does that benefit?
I concur virtually everything you said. We need to honor these people. It was a different era. There's no way to equate the level of play. We know how great Josh Gibson was. No way to equate what Josh Gibson did, hitting 370 in his life, against whatever that level of pitching was. You know, my only point of concern when I broached this subject a couple of weeks ago and I wrote a column on it is they're incorporating not only Josh Gibson's records with the Homestead Grays based in Pittsburgh, but they're also taking the statistics when they were on a barnstorming tour and they're playing semi-pro teams. They took whatever statistics they got there and they lumped them all together, which to me is kind of weird. But what I'd like to see, and again, this now flips back to separate but equal, or no, what's the correct phrase?
No, that's it. That is the phrase.
Yeah.
It's like Jim Crow.
Exactly. So if we had a set of Negro League stats that you could observe and say, holy cow, 370 lifetime hitter. And obviously you had Ty Cobb and Ted Williams and all the great modern day players. You had all their stats there. You could compare them without having to argue. My only beef is, you know, they'd go on a tour with a semi-pro team called the House of David. They were Jewish. They were ball players who were Jewish. And they'd barnstorm the country and they'd draw crowds to see the Negro League stars. But they took all those stats from those games against the House of David semi-pro team and they incorporated them. That's the only barking that I'm doing about, geez, that level of competition. But the great players of that era, I wish there were more videos. I mean, I've seen a few odd videos of Satchel Paige in the Negro Leagues, and I don't know that I've hardly ever seen anything of Josh Gibson, and I've never seen anything of Cool Papa Bell, the elite base stealer. And I interviewed a whole bunch of those guys. So I think it's great they're being honored. I think that we're reliving a unique part of Major League Baseball that did not allow those guys to cross. And that was up until Jackie Robinson in 1947.
Well, first of all, it seems like they should be able to weed out, you know, the barnstorm games or the exhibition games. I mean, it takes a lot of research to go back and figure it out because you're probably going through old newspapers. But I just think it's not so much a Negro League versus regular MLB. I'll put that in air quotes, because even in regular MLB, you can't compare people from different eras. It's just too difficult. So I think, you throw them all in. Everybody is in the Hall of Fame or eligible for it. You can try to stack rank the statistics, and you might have different versions of it depending on, post-steroid era or whatever it is. But I just think you just have to tell the story of baseball and not get too hung up on, is Josh Gibson better than Babe Ruth?
Yeah. The baseball purists, I think, are a little bit bothered by it, but I've been to the Hall multiple times. I've been to Cooperstown, and it's like a shrine. It's like a historic church of baseball, as Susan Sarandon said. And
well, it's not just the Hall of Fame, but it's the whole town.
Yeah.
And you go down the street and there are little restaurants with baseball themes and gift shops with baseball themes. And it's that beautiful, like, wooded tree area in upstate New York. And it just has all those warm fuzzies.
Oh, Doubleday Field.
Yeah.
It's cool. I broadcast games. I used to broadcast the Hall of Fame baseball games.
Really?
I worked in upstate New York in Utica. We were the first ones. I went to them and said, "Hey, how about," because we had a big regional radio station. I said, "How about we broadcast the Hall of Fame game?" And they said, "That's a cool idea." And this was even before it was ever televised.
Mm.
Now it's on ESPN and all that. So it's a Doubleday Field. It's cool. Best time to go. If I were king and I was going back to Cooperstown next time, go in January when it's cold and snowy. And it's hardly anybody there. And you can go in there and get lost for 11 hours. Yeah. It is so cool.
Well, don't bring the wife that day because she'll go crazy.
But you can go there in the summer and the spring. A lot of people do, but there's volumes and volumes of people. And I don't know if you get to see everything you want to see if you go when the place is packed, but go in January when it's cold and snowy, because then you can park out front and you can go in and I'll see you at 5 p.m.
Well, you know what's cool? What they've done is they've built a lot of baseball facilities kind of on the outskirts of town. And now it's a big thing for travel ball players to make the trip to Cooperstown. It's almost like a trip to Mecca, and then they get to play tournaments there, and it's a big deal. So, I mean, what a thrill for a young boy or girl to do that.
Yeah.